Good afternoon, everybody. Sean Hewitt here again from the Trusted Business Community, and welcome to one of our head-to-head sessions where we get to meet the wonderful businesses that make up part of the Trusted Business Community Association. Today, I'm joined by one of our newest members, but she's not just a member, she is a national premier partner, and we're so proud to have her on board. Debra Blackman, welcome from VIESSENTIALLY LTD, a wonderful big business. We're obviously going to want to know a little bit more about the business, but this lady, just to give a little bit of an intro to her, she is the Mary Poppins of your office. I'm going to let her speak about the rest of it. So, Debra, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, but more importantly, let's go through a journey together. What was you doing before you brought your business to the fore? Tell us a little bit about the history, where you are now, and then we'll find out a little bit more about what you can do to help businesses. Over to you.
Oh, thank you, Sean. And it's an absolute pleasure to be a national premier partner of the association, because I was introduced by a great guy called Chris Windley, who you know, UK cybersecurity, happened to be clients of ours. And he said, yeah. And I thought, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Absolutely brilliant. So thank you very much. And yeah, the journey for me, like most people's journey, I didn't go out as a burning desire as a small child to be the founder and director of VIESSENTIALLY. But it's come to pass that I'm absolutely delighted that actually through adversity, I've been able to create the business and it's thriving. So it's brilliant. So just a little bit of background from me. I've been involved in financial services for most of my career. I was within the international private banking team over at Barclays in London, had the pleasure of working with them both in their Mayfair office and then at Canary Wharf, very high pressure. My job was to develop business and really garner relationships with very, very high net worth, ultra high net worth individuals in the United Arab Emirates and basically around in Saudi, etc. So that was very interesting, and really learned what service was all about, thinking about things before the client thinks about them. Absolutely brilliant. And I had the good fortune of being really good at bringing in some big business, or getting the guys out, because I didn't provide advice, but the guys out there to actually, and girls, to actually bring the business in. So I sourced about 125 million in one hit, actually, with one particular client, which was fantastic. And I did that by really growing the relationship and developing that business so that they thought, yes, they knew, they liked, and they trusted our company. And then, because that was such a significant amount, I actually got approached to move from the retail side of things, business to consumer, to business, in, and again, an international role, but this time with Proudfoot, who are international operational management consultants. And I worked for them just off Fleet Street next to St. Paul's Cathedral in London, a place called Limeburner Lane. And again, it was basically to see how we could find those target companies, probably about $1 billion US turnovers at C-suite at the time, to see about our projects, bringing them in to optimize and provide efficiencies within the organizations. And I did pretty well at that. And that led to another headhunting experience, which was great. And I moved off to Hitachi, and I worked on the oil and gas side of what they were doing, but I'd done automotive and manufacturing, financial services, you name it, I pretty much cross sectors. Now, as these big companies do sometimes, they decided that they wanted to re-engineer their structure. And that meant that the bit that I was in wasn't something that they wanted to continue with. So the directors of it bought it out. I was asked to set up my own business and help them, just like I've been doing. And that in 2016 saw the birth of VIESSENTIALLY, but not in the guise that it is now, because I was basically a one-person operator with a few clients, more on a consultancy basis. And now, thanks to COVID, and I have to say thanks to COVID, I pivoted. There was a lot of stress, wasn't actually doing very well because you can't travel, you can't see clients in the operational consultancy mark when COVID was around. And that's when I really started to work on your Mary Poppins of the office. So I've gone now for a breadth of clients, absolutely fantastic, spanning the sectors, and we're helping them get out from all of the admin so that they can get out and grow their businesses and do what they do best. So that's where I am now in that journey, and thoroughly enjoying it.
What a lovely background and backdrop to how you've got to become Mary Poppins. I think you can see where as you're speaking about the journey, you can see the build up to where essentially is definitely sort of suddenly sort of sparking and growing those green shoots, and becoming the business that it now is. And of course, like you quite rightly say, all of a sudden COVID comes along and it totally changed the demographic of business, didn't it? So of course, once that happened, people had to do one of two things. You had to either carry on doing what you were doing, or you had to start expanding the choice and the offering that people could use your services for. And of course, you chose that. And that's brought us up to where we are today. So may I ask, just for the audience who are listening in, of course, what are the variation of services that you provide to give these busy business owners the opportunity to obviously gather their time back in one part, or spend their time in a better part of their business, or maybe spend some time out of their business because you're there behind the scenes? So there's many different reasons why somebody would want to use an accredited business like yourself. So tell us a little bit more about the different areas of services that you can provide somebody.
Yes, absolutely. Love to, Sean. And you're right. It's all about getting busy business owners of small enterprises normally out to do what they do best, because nobody goes into business thinking that they're going to be administrators. They're all out there to do the skills that they do. And somehow, the business comes and it just demands that of you, and it's very time consuming. And before I go into the service, it's actually vital to understand that the amount of money that you pay yourself an hour, what you're going to take out of the business, is it worth putting into the task that you're actually doing? And that means that it's stopping you often. If you're doing the admin, is that really worth your time? Because it's a zero-sum game. If you're doing the admin, you're not out there looking for new clients, therefore people aren't going to buy for you. But then you're also doing admin that perhaps you're not that great at, or you feel it'll only take 5 minutes. It doesn't take 5 minutes. It takes about 15 usually before you then can think about the things that you really need to do. So really think hard. Is it the best use of your time doing something which isn't growing your business, that isn't getting you out there in a really productive state, strategizing, planning, spending more time with your family? Could be quality time. So what we've done is I've thought about the things that busy business owners need to get out. And we have an offshore team. They are absolutely fantastic, all rigorously overseen by myself. And basically what we'll do is data entry, where we look at, for example, all those business cards that you've got. Are they actually going onto a CRM system? Are they going onto a spreadsheet so that you can start to optimize and hopefully monetize the people that you meet? Often that's not the case. Will data entry will take, let's say, for instance, legacy systems that don't talk to each other. Sometimes you've got that job that you think, oh my goodness, if only we could transfer, say, 1,000, 2,000 contacts into something else, but we just haven't got the time. That's where we come into our forte. The other thing as well is thinking about LinkedIn lead generation and LinkedIn and social media management. That's something which I'm good at because ultimately I've got that business development skill. We do not automate. People might laugh at me and think, well, how can you do it without automation? But we're much more bespoke than that. And so we will do the LinkedIn lead generation absolutely so that it looks like it's come from yourself. It is absolutely authentic, and it means a lot to the people that we then put the messaging out to, because we've done the groundwork before. We'll do the post, we'll write the content, we'll make sure that we keep updating everything, we'll alert you to people that are interested. So there's a whole raft of things we can do there. And then on the other side as well, if you've ever known the fact that you go on holiday and all of a sudden you've got the creeping death of the emails, we'll do all of your email management for you. So we take that as a shadow email account, or we can go into your own email, and we'll make sure that your inbox is manageable. You know exactly who and why. You're getting back to people what the priorities are. We'll unsubscribe you from those myriad of things that you've subscribed to that keep on popping up and they're just clogging in your inbox. We'll get rid of those for you with your permission, but be prepared to have a bumpy ride, because people normally hang on clinging to emails, and we make sure that it's all serviceable. So the other thing we'll do is diary management, and people might say, well, we've got Calendly and all of the likes of that to help us, but you start to get into a very important client. Would you really want to sell them a Calendly link? Perhaps not. And that's where we can come into play and actually help you manage your diary. Also, if you've got more than one person that you're seeing, Calendly doesn't really help either. We can use a white label service. We can go in under your email as, say, executive assistant to the directors, elevates your position, elevates your company, because you've got people behind you, and nobody will know that it's not yourselves that are actually in contact with them. So it's good from that point of view. I'm just looking at my list, because we'll just create e-brochures, we'll create e-flyers, and people are thinking, well, how much is this all going to be? And actually, it's really, really affordable. Anything that doesn't involve, because we do bookkeeping and stuff like that, but we'll go into that a bit later. Anything that's admin based, social media based, what we've done is I've looked at this and I've really thought about it hard, and we'll go £12.99 an hour. When you consider that most VAs are out there at £20 plus an hour, and we can do that because my team are eager, they're all out there waiting to help you, but they are offshore. So ultimately, this is why we're virtual. I'm very strong on ESG, very strong on CSR, very strong on decarbonisation and zero carbon footprints. And that's what we're striving to be as well. And we're agile. We can do everything from about half an hour a day up to a full-time resource. And we don't hold you to a contract. So we earn the right to come back every single month, every single week. We're on our toes and we're working for you.
Fantastic. The way the pricing structure that you've just given us, and I knew this pricing structure because we've had this conversation, but obviously for those that haven't, I just love the way that you are rolling down the cost element of the VA work, because you're using a phenomenal team. Oh, bear with me. Because you're using a phenomenal team in an offshore arena, you're then passing on that availability to keep the cost down, because the costs are staying down. Whereas somebody, like you say, somebody else, and that's great that you're passing that on, because not many people would. That's more profit for a lot of individuals, but you're not doing that. You're saying, look, let us make you more profit by us keeping our price down, because we can still make a profit as a business at £12.99 an hour, because of the way we've structured our support services with the great people that we've got around us, which means that you can then pass on that discount to the people who become your clients. That is phenomenal, Deborah, because there is very, very few people out there thinking along those lines. They're just thinking, right, £20-25, you were right, it can go plus 20 quid an hour, you know it anyway. VAs can be that much, they can go up. And they can
go up even higher if they've got specific skills, absolutely.
With the skill set that you've just reeled off there, and then you talked about very briefly about, there's bookkeeping too, by the way. You've got all of these things in your locker. They're all parts of the arsenal of in the bag, if you like, of support that people can genuinely come to you knowing that you are a one-stop shop.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, if we don't do it at the moment, we probably will, because ultimately, if we can think of a systemized way of doing it for you, we will absolutely do that. And one thing I'd like to make sure of is that when people go out and they hire VAs from the Philippines, I'm not saying all of them, but be very careful. You don't know if they've been cyber secure. You don't know what their IT security is like. You don't know what their data protection policy is like. And they might have a nice fancy backdrop, but you don't know where they're working. And where are you ever going to find them if something goes wrong? And so what I say is all our people work out of a business center, which has all of those things in place so that you know that your data, and if you have clients, their data is safe and secure. and that ultimately we'll sign non-disclosure agreements, we'll sign confidentiality agreements, because we know that that is incredibly important, and you just don't know where other people and what situation they're working in and how secure is secure. And some people brag, got this VA for $4.50 an hour. Really? Okay. But how is that actually coming to fruition with your potential security? And you'd be surprised also if people are offering you services at a low rate and they say they're offshore. Please do your due diligence. You've got to try and make sure that you are 100% confident that that data, that element of security is there, because so many people just don't know, and it's an accident waiting to happen. So I'd like to, it's not all doom and gloom because we've got it, but ultimately you'd be surprised how many people haven't.
I can assure you, I mean, it never surprises me. I must admit, things never surprise me. Having done this for 20 years, having seen different businesses come to us and want to become part of us, and I've obviously sort of spoke to them and had to send them away to get a few more things in place and get a few things in order before they could come back to us. I've seen it all, honestly, I've seen so much. So that's some great advice. Make sure, especially in this cyber secure world that we now need to be very, very aware of. With the amount of hacks that are going on out there.
Absolutely.
This is important. So brilliant advice there, Deborah. Deborah, we're coming very close to the end of this. I think the first time of interviewing you, I think there's likely to be a few more sessions, few more sessions. So. I would reckon. I don't think this is going to be the last, ladies and gentlemen. So looking for episode 2 when it happens. But I just really want to let people know where they can find the brilliance of VIESSENTIALLY, and obviously the brilliance of Debra Blackman. Where do they find you, Deborah?
Fantastic. Well, we have a website. It's www. Now this is where the fun starts, because I've got to spell this for everybody. It's a V for Victor, IESS for Sierra, EN for November, TIALLY.com. That's www.viessentially.com. You can email me. It's my name, Debra Blackman. It's actually DB, it's my initials, lowercase db, at VIESSENTIALLY, VIESSENTIALLY.com. And our office number is in the UK, and it's 01772 808 584.
Fabulous. And of course, not forgetting, you can also find her in the directory of the Trusted Business Community Association. So, and there, the most wonderful bit of tool and the wonderful bit of kit, you can have a video call with her there as well if you so wish. So feel free to reach out to the wonderful Debra Blackman. VIESSENTIALLY Limited is a premier partner to this association. She covers the entirety of the UK, which makes her a national coverage. She's here not just to help our members and give them the advice and the tips. She's here for all of those people listening into this today. If you need a top quality VA assignment being done, Deborah is your lady. Get in touch today. Thanks ever so much, Deborah. Absolutely fantastic to have you on board today, and really enjoyed our conversation. And I'm looking forward to episode 2 for coming very soon.
Thank you, Sean. Much appreciated.